The number three type of relationship is what we call the aggressive. It's important that you take note of this. The aggressive and the accommodating kind of relationship. Now, please, let's get down to the core. When we talk about accommodating and aggressive, it simply tells you the character of the relationship. We're saying that in this relationship, there are two individuals involved, and one of them is the aggressive type. The other one is the accommodating type. In actual fact, that is the reason why their relationship have lasted, because of the accommodating person. Otherwise, if an aggressive and an aggressive person meet together, a firstborn and a firstborn who are equally aggressive, the likelihood is that that marriage will not last for too long. But what do you do when you have a situation where there is an aggressive partner and an accommodating partner? What normally happens is that the aggressive partner becomes very controlling and very domineering. What that does is that he makes or she makes the other partner who is accommodating to become fearful, intimidated, and brought into a state of submission. I'm going to say that again. When you have an aggressive and an accommodating partner, what normally happens is that the aggressive partner actually uses intimidation, causes fear, and brings the other partner into a state of submission. Now, why do aggressive people behave like that? It has been discovered from research that most aggressive partners were children who, when they were growing up, had dysfunctional upbringing. They had a very terrible dysfunctional upbringing. So they must now use physical, mental, sexual, and emotional abuse to keep their partners under control. So most individuals who grew up in homes where they were abused, where they were disempowered, where they were less empowered, where they were not given room to express themselves, when they grow up, they want to automatically show that, listen to me, I'm not going to let my mother suppress me, my father suppress me, and now my partner is going to suppress me. No. Unconsciously, or what we call subliminally, they will not know when they are fighting a person who is not at war with them. So you want to assert yourself on your partner. You want to go ahead and begin to listen, you are in control. So there's a little bit of a controlling. In fact, there's much more of a controlling person and a competitive person in an aggressive person. And the reason for aggression is because of previous suppression. Oh my goodness. Are you catching something right now? Why don't you write that down? The reason for aggression is because of previous suppressions. A person who was suppressed as a child will become an adult who is aggressive. You suffered suppression, now you're going to use aggression. The opposite is the situation. There are children who suffered oppression. They suffered suppression when they were growing up. And watch this carefully. When they grow up, if they never have anybody help them through the process to be healed, they will look for relationships that resembles the one they came out from. So they will be looking for not just suppression, not just oppression, but submission. And this time around, it is what we call a negative submission, not the kind of submission the Bible talks about. Everyone watching me who is an aggressive partner, let me quickly say that for a moment, you may seem to be winning, but the day is going to come when your partner will break loose. The sad part of it is that sometimes it happens in the 20th year of your marriage, in the 24th year of your marriage, in the 28th year of your marriage. And then people begin to say, why will you give up a 28-year-old marriage? No, the marriage is not 28 years old. The marriage actually had been gone long ago. They've only been cohabiting for a long time. So it's critical for you to understand that if you're an aggressive person, you always shut down your partner. You don't let your partner express herself or himself. You are feared in the relationship. When you show up, your partner is intimidated by whatever means, by criticism, by contempt, whatever it is that you do. Your partner fears you. Your wife fears you. Your husband fears you. It's critical for you to understand that in that atmosphere of fear, intimidation, and suppression of the feelings of your partner, the marriage will not last. First, there will be mental health issues. In that kind of marriage, there will be depression, sadness, there will be all kinds of stuff. There will be health crisis. There will be death sometimes. And if no death, then there will be divorce. So I'm speaking to someone who is aggressive. Please work on your aggression. Ask the Spirit of God to come on the inside of you. You cannot be filled with the Spirit of God and not have control over your aggressive tendencies. Because the fruit of the Spirit of God is contrary to an aggressive tendency. In the same vein, for you who is accommodating in the name of submission, it is important for you to learn to speak out and speak up. It's time to start talking about how you feel, what you think. You are a human being. You have the right to self-determination and self-expression. And that can be done in an atmosphere of respect, in an atmosphere of courtesy. You don't have to be aggressive to do that. You have the right to express yourself. Haven't talked about aggressive and accommodating relationships. Let me quickly take you to number 4, which is what we call disconnected and parallel relationship. Oh, you're going to like this. Disconnected and parallel relationship. This is a relationship where the two partners in the relationship gradually, this is Sam, this is Mary. We were very, very close before. But in a disconnected and parallel relationship, one of us gradually began to disconnect. And disconnection begins with drifting. Please take note of the word drift. That's the word drift. And please watch this. Can I illustrate with this? I think I should illustrate with this duster. This is what a drift is. Please watch this carefully. This is gradual. It didn't fall. It was a drift. Just gradual drift. 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 Gradual. It's gradual. It's gradual. Emotional drift. Physically, we are drifting. Sexually, we are beginning to drift as married couples. Financially, we are drifting. It's a gradual thing. There is something we call marital drift, relational drift, where people that were into each other allow little things to come into their lives, into their relationships, and it causes them to drift. As a result of this drift, what then begins to happen is that conversationally, we don't talk again as we used to talk. Not only that, emotionally, we are not connected as we used to be connected. Not only that, sexually, we have gone apart. Financially, we don't open up to each other anymore because there is a drift. And as a result of a drift, one of us became disconnected. And the other party is now beginning to live a parallel line. Meaning you and I don't connect. We live in the same house, but we don't connect. The goal of every healthy marriage, let's assume we all started as singles. We came together. Watch how the triangle forms. We were single apart. But as a result of marriage, we came together. When we came together, watch this carefully. As the years go by, it is expected. This is what a healthy marriage should look like. A healthy marriage is one whereby When the marriage gets older, the couples get closer. What is going on in many marriages today is this. We started as singles. Marriage brought us together. Watch this, please. Instead of us to becoming this way, the older the marriage gets, the farther away we go from each other. Sam is going his way. Mary is going her way. So much so that by the 20th year of the marriage, we are far apart. But here's where the game lies. The reason why we've not divorced is because of what's in between us. It is not marital bond. It is children. So the children are keeping us together whilst we are drifting apart. Your marriage is not supposed to be a V. This is a V marriage. A V marriage is a marriage where the older the couples get, the farther apart they go. Our relationship is supposed to be a triangle. The older we get, the closer we get. Any marriage that remains like this, a V marriage, disconnected, and a marriage where we're parallel, what normally happens in that kind of marriage is a situation whereby you're going to be having so much of affairs because, the man wants his wife, she's not there. The woman wants her husband, he's not there. Only God can keep such couples from having affairs. Otherwise, what you're going to have is affair, because there's a drift. How do we fix all of this? By using the fifth kind of relationship. The fifth kind of marriage or relationship that we have is what we call the acceptance and balance relationship. This is the most healthiest of all relationships. It is a relationship where one partner focuses, or both partners focus on accepting one another. I will talk about that. Number two, they also focus on balance. They focus on having a healthy marriage. They work together as a team. They complement each other. They recognize each other's strengths and they recognize each other's weaknesses. And they actively commit themselves to covering up for each other's weaknesses. It's critical to understand that acceptance is what makes marriages work. Stop trying to change your partner before you accept your partner. That's not how it works. Accept your partner for your partner to change. People change when they are accepted. Number two, there must be balance. There must be balance. And in balancing, we work as a team. What that means is everybody brings in something that the person is good at. This kind of relationship is the one that leads to happy endings. It pyramids up. It goes to the triangle peak we're talking about. How I pray and I wish that your marriage and your relationship will just turn out like that. And I know it will. I know you can make it happen. But it all begins with focusing on acceptance and balance. It all begins with getting rid of the aggressive tendency. It all begins with getting rid of trying to control your partner. It is not a proof of strength that your partner is under your control. No marriage is perfectly there, but we can now begin to work towards it. Because now we know that there is something called acceptance and balance relationship. So you and your partner can begin to work towards that height. And trust me, the way to reach there is to avoid competing with one another. Stop competing. And she got a car, I must buy my own. She's doing masters, I must do my own. Stop competing and stop trying to control one another.